Okay, back to this. So I think I cleared up that when somebody needs an air conditioner, but they had a boiler and all that. Okay, so what we're going to talk a little bit more about the air handler, okay, and how this works. So it is a fan, okay, glorified fan, but it also has to have the coil because the AC is in two parts. Remember, an inside part and an outside part. Now let's pretend like, okay, they don't have a boiler in the house, but they want a heat pump. A heat pump does heat and it does cooling, okay? And just for shits and giggles that you would know, the way that these lines run, that is the line set, remember the copper lines, and it holds the refrigerant. A heat pump works in the reverse that an AC works. So when one line goes one direction in an AC, that very line just moves the other direction. That, you know, whatever, it doesn't matter. So they have a heat pump, and basically what that means is that same unit is going to be used for air conditioning, but then say it starts to get down in the fall and it's going to be 65 or 60 degrees. Now it's going to heat the house. But a heat pump, say that's all you have and you have the outdoor unit, you still need your indoor piece to move air, because heat pump, just like the AC, it doesn't move air. So you need an air mover or an air handler. So here we are back at our fan, okay, made that look like a fan. Now in the winter time, these coils, where that coil was cold, it's going to take and it's going to reverse, and it's going to blow heat through the coil or past the coil. And that has to do with understanding refrigerant, and that's a little bit more tricky. This little thing represents a heat bank. So I mentioned, like, oh, it's 60 degrees out or 55 maybe or whatever, and your heat pump is working. To a certain point, the heat pump can only do so much on the heat mode, and then it can't put out enough heat. So you have a heat bank, which is electrical, and those little coil things heat up real hot, and now then it starts to blow air past that, okay? So those get expensive. People who have only heat pumps can talk about having really high winter bills if it gets too cold out. So if it is running a lot of 5-degree days, that heat bank is turned on. That is like heating your house with a hair dryer, where you're just running hair dryers, because you've got that heating element, and you know how you see that gets red. So the efficiency on the heat pump works when you are not using the heat bank, but you're just using the reverse system of the refrigerant lines. And that, like I said, I will go through how the refrigerant works. This is what is most problematic and difficult about the air handler in an attic. This represents a drain pan. All of this stuff condensates. So many of this stuff. So this can sweat and it can drip. Well, what do you think could happen if our drain pan isn't properly drained and it fills up with water? It overflows and it leaks on ceilings and it ruins people's drywall. That is one of our biggest problems with air handlers or any piece of anything in an attic, because almost everything we put in an attic could sweat or condensate and potentially cause water damage. So those are kind of a big deal to think about.